My fiancée said she didn't wear her engagement ring to work for professionalism. I didn't push until I saw a group photo where they called her the office's favorite single girl. I didn't argue, I just made a quiet decision that changed everything. Now she won't stop calling, begging me to get her out of this mess. At first, I didn't notice. You'd think it'd be easy to spot when your fiancé stops wearing the $1,000 plus engagement ring you saved for over 2 years. But Claudia was clever. She'd take it off just before leaving for work and tuck it into her purse. When she got home in the evenings, she'd slip it back on like nothing. Everything changed the day I decided to surprise her at lunch with her favorite sandwich from that deli across town. When she arrived and I sat across from her, I noticed her finger was bare. "Where's your ring?" I asked, handing her the sandwich. She flinched, glanced at her hand for a second, then at me. "I don't wear it to work." "Since when?" I pressed. "Always," Claudia replied, unwrapping the sandwich, avoiding my eyes. "I've never worn it at the office." I went quiet, unsure what to say. We'd been engaged for 7 months and she'd never mentioned this habit. Trying to sound casual, I asked, "Is it for comfort? Does it get in the way when you type?" "It's not professional," she said, waving her left hand vaguely, ringless. "Besides, I don't need to share my personal life with anyone. It's better to keep things strictly work-related." I didn't push. I didn't want to seem like an insecure guy making a scene in front of her coworkers, but the unease stuck with me all day. Later, as she cooked dinner, I brought it up again. "I didn't know your company had such strict policies about jewelry. That's weird nowadays." Claudia set the knife down on the cutting board and sighed. "You're overreacting. A lot of professional women don't wear their rings at work. It changes how men treat you. It's my choice." "Fair enough," I said. "I just would have liked to know." She rolled her eyes. "What, now I have to report to you every time I don't wear a bracelet or earrings?" That ended the conversation. I felt a bit foolish, like I'd made a big deal out of nothing. She seemed annoyed but satisfied to close the topic. I might have let it go, if not for what happened 2 weeks later. I was scrolling through Instagram when I saw a post from Esteban, a coworker of Claudia's I'd met at the office Christmas party. It was a group photo from a casual work gathering. There she was in the center, drink in hand, smiling. The caption read, "Thursday drinks with the team. Our favorite office girl showing us how it's done. #work family thirsty Thursday single." I read that word single over and over until my vision blurred. I zoomed in on the photo. Her left hand was wrapped around the glass. The ring was clearly missing, but it was that hashtag that hit me like a punch. It wasn't just that she wasn't wearing the ring. She was actively presenting herself as an uncommitted woman. That night when she got home, the ring was back on her finger as always. She greeted me with a kiss, suspecting nothing. I didn't mention the photo, just watched. The next morning, as I suspected, she slipped the ring off before leaving and tucked it into her purse. "Have a good day, love," she said, closing the door behind her. I sat in the kitchen for a long time, processing. We'd been together 3 years before getting engaged, living together for 2. I thought I knew her. Now I was starting to doubt. That afternoon, I called my friend Rodrigo, who also works in corporate consulting like Claudia. I told him the situation without naming names. "That's not normal, man," he said bluntly. "I know plenty of married women in the industry. Nobody hides their ring for professionalism anymore. That's outdated. You should dig deeper." I didn't need more convincing. That night, while Claudia was in the shower, I did something I never thought I'd do. I checked her phone. I'd always respected her privacy, but something in me had snapped. What I found was worse than my worst fears. She had a second Instagram account I didn't know about, a Tinder profile she'd used the previous week, and conversations with several men, including Esteban, that made it clear she wasn't just presenting as single, she was acting like it. I took screenshots of everything, emailed them to myself, and put the phone back exactly as it was. When she came out of the bathroom, I acted completely normal. For the next 2 days, I lived with a quiet, contained rage. I didn't yell, didn't confront her. Every night she came home with the ring on, greeted me warmly, asked about my day, and I pretended everything was fine. Meanwhile, I planned my exit. On the third day, I put it into motion. I waited until she left for work, ring tucked in her purse. Then I packed my essentials, loaded them into my truck, and drove to the bank. I'd been saving for the wedding. We had a separate account with over $42,000 for the venue, catering, honeymoon, everything. Claudia knew about the account but didn't have access. What she didn't know was that the previous month, as a surprise, I'd added her name to the account. I'd planned to tell her over a weekend dinner, give her full access to the wedding fund so she could plan whatever she wanted without restrictions. It was supposed to be a gesture of trust, but things had taken a drastic turn. I went straight to the bank, closed the joint account entirely, and transferred every cent back to my personal account, one she couldn't touch. Then I drove to my friend Esteban's lake house. He offered to let me stay as long as I needed to think and clear my head. At 2:17 p.m., the messages started. "What the hell did you do?" Claudia wrote. "The wedding venue just called. They said the payment was declined. I called the bank and they said the account's closed. Then, answer the phone." I didn't respond, just let the notifications pile up. Later, her tone shifted. "Please talk to me. I don't understand what's going on. Whatever you think, we can fix it. Call me. I love you. Don't do this, please." The next day, she must have stopped by the apartment at lunch and noticed some of my things were gone. That's when she really panicked. "You moved out without even talking to me. What's wrong with you? This is insane. You can't throw away 3 years over nothing. Please, I'm begging you. Whatever it is, we'll fix it." I didn't say a word, just saved every message. But the next one caught me off guard. "Oh my God, did someone tell you something? Is this about work? I can explain everything. I swear it's not what you think." That night I broke my silence, not with words, but with evidence. I sent her exactly 4 things. 1, a screenshot of Esteban's Instagram post. 2, a picture of her Tinder profile. 3, messages between her and Esteban, talking about how naive I was. 4, a photo of the empty engagement ring box. No comments, no insults, just the facts. Her response was immediate: calls, texts, emails. She went to the apartment, now hers alone, but since I'd paid the next 3 months' rent and removed myself from the lease, there was no way to track me down. She started contacting my friends, my family, even my boss, crying, yelling, begging someone to tell her where I was. No one did. No one knew except Esteban, my best friend since we were 10, and he'd never betray me. After 3 days of no response, her messages turned desperate. "My card, maxed out. I can't even afford groceries. I was counting on the wedding account to cover next week's rent. Please help me, I'm scared. Rodrigo just told me they're going to fire me. Someone sent screenshots to HR. Was that you? How could you do this to me? My parents won't even answer my calls. What did you tell them?" For clarity, I didn't send anything to her job or her parents. I didn't need to. Rodrigo, seeing I had her conversations, panicked and preemptively told his boss everything. As for her parents, they found out when she called them crying about the empty wedding account. Her father called me directly and I answered. I told him everything, showed him the proof. He listened in silence, then with a long sigh said, "She's always been her own worst enemy. I'm sorry, son." 2 weeks later, I moved into a new apartment. I started the legal process for a clean separation. Since we weren't married, it's just about dividing a few shared things. I kept the furniture I'd owned before the relationship and let her have what we'd bought together. It felt fair. The ring's still in my truck's glove compartment. Part of me wants to sell it to recoup some losses. Another part wants to keep it as a reminder. Even those who look at you with tears in their eyes while accepting a proposal can live a double life. Last night, I finally answered one of her calls, not out of weakness or to forgive, but to close this chapter. "What do you want, Claudia?" I asked. She was crying. "I need help. They're threatening to evict me. My cards are all maxed. I have no one to turn to." "If you had someone," I said quietly, "you had a man who loved you, who saved for a ring you never wore, who planned a wedding you never intended to have, and you threw it all away. That was your choice, not mine." She sobbed, incoherent, saying, "We can fix this." But there was no "we" anymore. "Figure it out on your own," I said, then hung up and blocked her number. I poured myself a couple of fingers of whiskey, and for the first time in a long time, felt a kind of calm settle over me. The worst part of betrayal isn't the lies you're told, it's the truth they reveal about the person telling them. Claudia showed me her true face, not with words, but with her choices, and I believed her. Sometimes, the most powerful act isn't a confrontation, it's quietly walking away and closing the door behind you. Update. I never imagined this story would get so much attention. Thank you for all the messages of support and the awards. Some of you asked for an update on how things have progressed, so here it is. First, addressing the most common questions. Yes, I have detailed records of all the money I put into the apartment and the wedding fund. No, she can't sue me for that money. I consulted my lawyer before closing the account and confirmed it. Yes, the ring is legally mine. In my state, engagement rings are considered conditional gifts, and if the engagement ends due to infidelity, the gift is void. Since my last post, Claudia's contact attempts shifted to social media. Apparently, she started spreading a very different version of events, claiming I left her penniless and stole the wedding money. Some mutual friends believed her until I privately showed them the evidence. But the most unexpected twist came from Esteban's wife. Yes, it turns out he was married, or was rather. She messaged me on Facebook, thanking me for unintentionally bringing the truth to light. Apparently, Esteban had been telling Claudia and other women that his marriage was a living hell. He planned to leave soon. But when everything blew up at their office, his wife found out, not just about Claudia, but several others. She started divorce proceedings and took their kids to her parents' house. As for Claudia, I heard through mutual acquaintances that she's moved back in with her parents. Her father, whom I always respected, called me again to apologize for the whole situation. He admitted that for years, he and his wife had enabled Claudia's behavior without consequences, and maybe this was the wake-up call she needed. I thanked him for his honesty. Yesterday, I sold the ring. I lost about 30% of its original value, but it was worth it to close that chapter. With part of the money, I booked a solo trip to Montana next month. I've always wanted to try fly fishing. My new apartment is coming together. Simple, clean mine. I've reconnected with friends I'd drifted from during my relationship with Claudia. In hindsight, I realized she'd slowly isolated me from certain people, probably because they saw what I didn't want to see. One friend convinced me to join a boxing gym. Hitting the heavy bag 3 times a week has become the best therapy I could have asked for. I sleep better, I think clearer. To those who said I acted out of spite, let me clarify. I didn't publicly expose Claudia, didn't call her out on social media, didn't send screenshots to her job. I simply walked away from a relationship built on lies and let the facts speak for themselves. What followed was a direct consequence of her own actions. The hardest part has been rebuilding trust in myself. I keep wondering how I missed the signs earlier. I started therapy, and my therapist says it's common. You see what you want to see in the people you love until you can't deny the truth anymore. To the guy who commented that I should have confronted her like a man, I'll say this. Confrontations are for people who deserve answers. Someone who's lied for months doesn't get a detailed script. I'm not angry. I'm healing. At 39, I thought I'd be married with kids by now. Instead, I'm starting over. But this time, every decision is for me, free from adapting to someone else's lies. And that, to me, is freedom. Update 3 months later. Many of you are still messaging me, asking how things have gone, so here's the final piece. Claudia's parents eventually set conditions for her to keep living with them, mandatory therapy and a job search. According to her younger sister, who contacted me last month, Claudia was diagnosed with narcissistic personality traits. She's finally getting professional help. It's not my business anymore, but I genuinely hope she finds some peace. Esteban's divorce has gotten messy. His ex-wife's lawyer reached out to me for a statement about what I knew regarding his cheating. I provided objective information, dates of the messages I saw, snippets where he directly referenced his marital status. No judgments, just facts. His ex-wife, who's finalizing the divorce soon, sent me a thank you note last week. Apparently, their prenup had a strict confidentiality clause that he violated by talking about their marriage to Claudia. Every choice has consequences. For me, life's settling into a new rhythm. That fly fishing trip to Montana was exactly what I needed. A week in the mountains and rivers, no cell signal, no distractions. I came back feeling more centered, more at peace. The boxing gym become a fixed part of my days. I've shed nearly 7 kg of the emotional weight I was carrying and regained a physical shape I haven't seen since my early 30s. Work's going well too. I got a promotion last month. Maybe it would have happened anyway, but not having to pour energy into navigating Claudia's constant conflicts let me refocus fully on my career. As for dating, I haven't jumped back in yet. I'm being patient, learning to enjoy my own company before building something with someone else. My therapist says that's a healthy sign of progress, and this time, instead of acting like I can handle everything on my own, I'm taking that professional advice. The ring money didn't just cover the Montana trip, it funded a photography course I'd always wanted to take. I've found I'm good at landscapes, and it's become a weekend hobby that gets me out, breathing, paying attention to something other than the past. Last week I ran into Claudia at the grocery store, the first time I'd seen her face-to-face since everything went down. She looked different, thinner, less makeup, a quieter expression. She approached cautiously and asked if we could talk sometime. I told her I was glad she was getting help but saw no point in reopening closed wounds. She accepted the response without arguing, maybe a sign she's changed. As she walked away, she said something that stuck with me. I never deserved that ring, not for what I did, but because I never understood what it meant. For the first time in a long time, we agreed on something. And that's it. I've closed a chapter that shaped my life in many ways, some painful, some revealing. I won't pretend it was easy, but I can say I came out the other side with more clarity and strength. To anyone facing something similar, I'd say, don't underestimate the power of listening to your gut, protecting yourself, and letting go of what drains you. It's not about winning or losing. It's about taking back control of your own story. Time doesn't erase everything, but it puts things in their place. And that's enough.